Everyone and their dog considers themselves an Instagram influencer these days. Build up a few thousand followers just by implementing the follow for follow strategy, and you could do exactly the same thing. That being said, some influencers can help you grow your brand, build a community, and generate sales. This video is going to give you a step-by-step guide to finding the right influencers on Instagram. I'm not going to suggest any paid-for software or gimmicks that you need to pay out for, so make sure you watch the whole video, as this is all about what you can do to find the right influencers. I'm Chris, and you're in the right place if you want to learn more about digital marketing. If you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button and you'll be the first to know about all of my new videos. So step number one, you need to know the why. Why do you want to partner with an Instagram influencer? Is it for generating more sales? Is it for branding? Or is it for simply just reaching a new target audience? Once you know why you want an Instagram influencer, you'll be able to measure the success of your campaigns far more easily, but you'll also be able to decide which are the right Instagram influencers for you to partner with. Now, influencers come in different shapes and sizes. You've got smaller influencers, people under maybe 100,000 followers that we would call micro influencers. Then people above the 100,000 follower region that we would call more macro influencers. And then on top of that, you have another category that I wouldn't really want to go too much into detail on, and that is celebrities. Micro influencers are great for tapping into smaller targeted markets. The pages themselves tend to be a lot smaller and they maybe have 10, 20,000 followers, but as a result, their content is far more targeted towards that niche. By partnering with a super targeted micro influencer, you should be able to see a good return on investment in terms of sales. Micro influencers tend to be very affordable, so you should be able to find quite a few different influencers that you can partner with and that you can run a test alongside. So macro influencers tend to have more followers than your micro influencers, but as a result, their audiences aren't always the most targeted. They're great if you want to reach a wider audience and you want to reach a completely new target market. But if you want to do a small, more targeted campaign, then micro-influencers are your way to go. So now that you know why you want an Instagram influencer, it's time to start searching for some Instagram influencers to partner with. My favorite way of doing this is simply going into Instagram and searching for some popular hashtags in your niche. By scrolling through the hashtag pages, you'll be able to find some popular creators in your niche. Now, a word of caution here, make sure you don't just pick generic tags that maybe have 20 million posts in your niche. Try and get a bit more targeted. If you pick such a broad hashtag, you're going to have a load of different results to sift through, and some of them are probably not going to be that relevant to you. So while you're going through and looking at all of these hashtags and having a look at some of the profiles that you may want to partner with, you need to make a list of potential influencers as well. So as you're going, have a spreadsheet open and start recording the influencer, the amount of followers they have, and the average engagement they get on their posts. You'll then be able to use this later to vet the influencers and decide which are the right ones for you to partner with. So now that you have a comprehensive list of influencers that you potentially want to partner with, it's time to start vetting that list and getting it narrowed down to some people that you definitely want to work with. So the first thing you want to do is have a closer look at each influencer's engagement numbers. What you don't want to have is an influencer that you partner with that has 20,000 followers, but then when you go to their posts, they get hardly any engagement. The chances are that those followers have been bought, and therefore they're not going to add any value whatsoever to your business if you partner with that influencer. So a few ways to check the engagement on people's posts is pretty straightforward. First, have a look at the number of likes on the post. Then have a closer look at the comments and check the value of these comments. What you don't want is to be partnering with someone where on their posts all they're getting is some comments that say things like, "Nice post," or "Love your content, man." These things are just other people who are probably trying to get comments on their own posts, and what they're doing is commenting on other people's, hoping in return that they'll come back and comment on their post. It's a vicious cycle, and it's just something that we don't want to be part of if we're paying to partner with an influencer. You want to have a look at these comments and see if they're people adding real value. Are they people that have enjoyed that post that somebody's made? Because if you can find that, then this is a great start with an influencer. So the next thing you want to do is check the amount of accounts that an Instagram influencer follows. So if you've done any sort of research in how to get more followers on Instagram, you've probably come across the follow for follow method. And if you haven't, just in a nutshell, it's essentially where I could go and follow 100 different Instagram accounts, and in return I'm hoping a certain percentage of those are going to follow me back. And if I do this 10, 15, 20 or even 100 times, that is going to eventually grow my following to thousands of people. But would you say those are high quality people that are following you back? Probably not. So while that's a good way of getting started, you don't really want to be paying somebody to partner with them if you can see that most of their followers, again, are low quality and they're just following them for a follow for follow reason. So a good way to determine if someone's doing the follow for follow strategy for most of their followers is just to have a look at the amount of followers they have versus the amount of accounts they're following. If they're similar numbers, then you can probably tell that this person's doing the follow for follow strategy, and again, their audience probably isn't the most targeted or the most high quality for a brand like us that wants to pay money to an influencer. The next thing you want to do is check the strength of your influencer's interests. What you don't want, again, is to be partnering with an account where they're posting for the sake of posting and they're not really engaging with their audience. When you're looking through those comments like you were earlier, is the influencer responding? Are they having really good conversations? Because again, all of these are good signs to show you that the audience is highly engaged in what that person has to say. And there's a good bit of back and forth, which is going to help build even more trust in that audience in what that influencer has to say. So if that influencer in turn is recommending your product or service, they've already got a really built up trusted audience, and that audience in turn should be more likely to trust your brand. Does their content get regular levels of engagement, or are there certain anomalies? Do certain posts perform better than others? Do they only get high levels of engagement when they post a competition, but all their other content doesn't really get that much interaction at all? You want to find someone with consistent levels of engagement across their entire account. Again, this all just contributes to showing you that they've got a highly engaged following. You also want to check their hashtags. Now, earlier on, we found these influencers by searching for hashtags on Instagram. But what other hashtags are they using in their posts? Maybe ones that you haven't specifically searched for to find an influencer. If you can find one where these hashtags marry up closely to your business, again, you're going to find that this is definitely an influencer who's really closely related to you, and therefore if you do partner with them, there's a greater chance of success from your content. So the last thing you want to do is check the brands that these influencers have worked with in the past. The last thing you want to do is partner with an influencer that has just become a walking billboard, where every other post just seems to be an Instagram partnership, and they've probably partnered with loads of brands that aren't even that related to their niche at the moment. Step number 4 is a really straightforward one. Just make sure you do not get ripped off. When I first started working with Instagram influencers, I got burnt a couple of times. I had no idea what a fair rate was for an Instagram influencer. And there were a couple of micro-influencers that came along, quoted me a certain amount, and looking at it now, I massively overpaid. We paid thousands to influencers and in return, basically received nothing. So the one piece of advice I can give you is make sure you contact a load of different influencers. Do not just contact 1 or 2 influencers. Contact at least 10. Try and make that 15 or 20 at least. Write them a message, be professional, tell them what you want from a partnership, and just ask them how much they charge. And wait for these influencers to come back to you with a quote. Once you've approached 15 or 20 influencers, you'll then have so many different quotes that you can go through. You'll start to have a good idea of what's a fair price and what influencers might be being a bit cheeky and trying to charge you way too much. So now that you know how to find the right Instagram influencers to partner with, make sure you go here to learn more about going live on Instagram, and go here to find whatever YouTube recommends for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.